Hello, everyone. Do you want to find out a way to make gamers irrationally angry? More irrationally angry than they already are? There's one simple set of words that you can use. The first is women in video games, but the second one is Denuvo. So for those that are unfamiliar, Denuvo is a form of digital rights management, which I believe I've mentioned before. It's a means of publishers controlling who has access to their software. And Denuvo is probably one of the most hated names in video gaming. And as someone who is personally skeptical as to DRM and its effect on the gaming industry, I'm inclined to agree with the fact that I am not a fan of Denuvo. And don't worry, that bias is going to be incredibly apparent throughout this video. So don't you worry about that, my sweet gamers. But what I wanted to talk about today was an interview that the COO at the company that owns Denuvo did with Ars Technica last week. So Denuvo is owned by a company called Irdeto? What?
We work in the exciting world of cybersecurity and have a rather unusual name. So in case you are wondering how to pronounce it, here is how your potential future colleagues say it.
Irdeto.
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 Irdeto. Irdeto.
Irdeto.
Irdeto.
Irdeto.
Irdeto.
Irdeto.
Irdeto.
Irdeto.
Irdeto.
Irdeto.
Irdeto.
Irdeto.
As you can hear, no matter how you say it, you are welcome at
Irdeto.
He's at the company called Irdeto, which acquired Denuvo in a 2018 purchase. And the chief operating officer at video games at Irdeto, Steve Huyn, has actually spoken publicly about the negative view that gamers as a whole have of Denuvo. This man's coming at you, cap in hand, and he's saying, "Oh, please, sir, DRM software isn't that bad." And he's willing to put this theory to the test. So, I mean, before we get going, of course, Mr. Denuvo here is going to say that Denuvo isn't that bad. It's you've got to, whenever you're looking at something that's been written, you have to consider who's saying it and why. And in this case, it's actually pretty straightforward, of course. You know, it's common sense. Steve here has a direct financial stake in people being okay with Denuvo being in their products, right? At the moment, Denuvo is a very prominent figure in the gaming industry, but, you know, rest assured, if public opinion turns against Denuvo enough, publishers will seek alternatives. Huyn stressed to Ars Technica that he sees Denuvo as a positive force for the gaming community as a whole, saying, quote, "Anti-piracy technologies is to benefit of the game publishers, but also is of benefit to the players in that it protects the publisher's investment and it means the publishers can then invest in the next game. But people typically don't think enough of that." Okay, so this is a very old and very tired argument for anti-piracy measures, and it's a argument that has been consistently disproven time and time again, I feel. There are many examples of games that really sell really quite well on the PC platform without additional DRM. Probably the best example of that is actually the PC games retail platform GOG Galaxy. GOG.com specifically have a no DRM policy on their titles. And you know what? GOG hasn't gone out of fucking business yet, has it? So let's get real for a sec. There was actually a drive back in the 1980s called "Home Taping is Killing Music," which was a British slogan that said, basically was making out that people recording music at home on their cassette tapes from the radio was driving the music industry into ruin. This, of course, naturally isn't the case. People still did it, and you know what? The music industry stayed the monolithic giant that it did. But just to go back to the interview, so this is where I'm actually not a fan of how this Ars Technica interview is written. So I'm just going to have an aside here. This, like I say, this is an Ars Technica interview by someone called Kyle Orland, and it's in my personal opinion, it's a little brown nosy. in that it doesn't really address some of the other issues aside from the issues that Steve is prepared to talk about. Now, it is worth saying that this is an Ars Technica exclusive interview, right? So Steve Huyn from Irdeto has only agreed to speak to Ars Technica, and I'm sure Ars Technica is very, very thankful for that. And so as a result, they don't go too hard on him, which is kind of, you know, they play softball a little bit here. So just to quote Kyle here, aside from generalized philosophical discussions over whether DRM should exist at all, by far the most substantive complaints about Denuvo's tech are its alleged impact on game performance. Sometimes these accusations come from the crackers themselves and have to be weighed against strong denials from Denuvo and the game's developer. Other times, the accusations come from game makers, like outspoken Tekken 7 director Katsuhiro Harada, who said in a 2018 tweet thread that the game's, quote, anti-tamper third-party middleware, i.e. Denuvo, was responsible for, quote, frame rate drops in the game. So I'll just comment on this a little bit. A little bit of a spoiler here. Steve and the people at Irdeto are completely focused on the frame rate drop allegations. Now, if you look at a lot of gamer gripes about Denuvo, it is about these frame rate drops. It's about performance issues. Do I personally think that gamers are very quick to blame every single possible frame rate and performance drop on Denuvo? I think they are. That being said, there are other issues with DRM and with Denuvo which are not addressed in this interview. Always online components, restriction of use of software that we didn't have just a matter of years ago. I believe there was one instance where Denuvo's servers went offline and it completely locked people out of their products. Things like that just get filed away under generalized philosophical discussions, which I personally think is pretty gross, and I think you should hang your head in shame over that, Kyle. I know you're glad to get your interview, but come on, man. Have some fucking backbone as a journalist. I know. He's going to say, oh, well, you know, I can't bite the hand that feeds, and that's the problem, right? Well, Irdeto isn't paying me, so I can say what I want. In 2019, an Ars analysis, so this is their analysis again. Irdeto seems to have a very nice working relationship with Ars Technica, isn't that nice? Comparing a Denuvo free copy of Batman Arkham Knight on the Epic Games Store to a Denuvo laden copy from Steam found no difference in performance, but a series of analyses from YouTube channel Overlord Gaming, which I imagine is a more independent source, in 2018 found significant performance differences in games measured directly before and after Denuvo protection was removed. In our chat, Huyn implies this kind of public analysis was not very useful because, quote, gamers almost never get access to the same version of a game protected and unprotected. There might be over the lifetime of the game a protected and unprotected version, but these are not comparable because these are different builds over 6 months, many bug fixes, etc. that could make it better or worse. So he's really just coming in here with the bro trust me thing. I mean, yeah, that's also the case, but it could also just be because they removed the DRM. That doesn't disprove that's the DRM causing the issues. Huyn insisted that Irdeto puts in the effort of applying the security and validating that the performance is as it was and is not impacted. In the case of anti-tamper, I think there is a clear statement that there is no perceptible impact on gameplay because of the way we do things. They have this here in a big red quote, by the way. I do just want to draw a line under some very specific wording here. I think there is a clear statement that there is no perceptible impact on gameplay. So this is Steve, man with financial ties to making you think that Denuvo is okay, saying that he thinks there is no effect. Okay. Now he is prepared to put his money where his mouth is, and we're going to look at that. But this is an opinion. To get around the mistrust, Huyn said Irdeto is working on a program that would provide 2 nearly identical versions of a game to trusted media outlets, one with Denuvo protection and one without. After that program rolls out, hopefully sometime in the next few months, Huyn hopes independent benchmarks will allow the tech press to, quote, see for yourself that the performance is comparable, identical, and that would provide something that would hopefully be trusted by the community. Which really just goes to show that Steve is kind of a little out of touch here. First of all, the gamers, don't trust gaming press at all, really. Especially not, I think, what he would call trusted gaming press. Like, you know, what, you're going to give it a fucking IGN? Come on, man. Second of all, what do you mean by trusted media outlets? Do you mean, you know, to just kind of tie into that previous point, do you mean trusted by consumers at large? Do you mean trusted by you? What do you mean? Next up, two nearly identical versions of a game. So I'm guessing it's going to be a game that Denuvo themselves have picked. So it's going to be a game that maybe isn't too taxing on systems, or, you know, there's nothing to say that they couldn't pick a game that is optimized in a certain way to mitigate the effects that Denuvo might have on that. I'll tell you what, if you want us to trust what you're saying, do this for every game ever that gets released with Denuvo, because that's the only way that this produces any kind of workable information. Anything else is just puff. All right, so they're not going to do that. No, they're not going to do that because it's not going to give the results that Irdato themselves want you to find. It's all very well saying you hope you get independent benchmarks, but you can have all the independent analysis in the world. If the data that you release to be analyzed isn't complete and isn't comprehensive, it means fucking nothing. Here's more puff stuff. Despite the very public concerns, major game publishers have continued to support Denuvo over the years for a very simple reason. It delays the release of piracy-enabling cracks, and sometimes stops them completely. Shortly after Denuvo's initial rollout in 2014, the anti-tamper technology developed an quote uncrackable reputation, end quote, that caused something of an existential crisis in the cracking community. And while Denuvo protection has proven somewhat more crackable in years since, so it's not fucking uncrackable, is it then? The modern version of Denuvo's anti-tamper tech has proven decently resilient to crackers' best efforts. Of the 127% Denuvo protected games released since 2020, only half have had their DRM protection successfully cracked. See, and this is what I mean about bias and the way this is written. If I had a medicine and I said that only half of the people that took that medicine died, you would laugh at me. Only half, Jesus. And among half that had been cracked, the median title received a full 175 days of effective DRM before a crack was released, according to that same list. That's a lot better than the under a week Denuvo cracking times that were making headlines in 2017. It means the vast majority of recent Denuvo protected titles can't be effectively pirated in their first month or two of sales, where the bulk of the money is made for a premium game after being made available. I feel that that is maybe more of an indictment on those games, but that's besides the point. Huin said publishers licensed Denuvo technology, quote, for a certain amount of time, maybe 6 months or a year, mainly to protect the initial sales period. After that, many publishers declined to renew that lease and instead release an updated version of the game that is not protected by Denuvo. TrackWatch lists 103 titles that released Denuvo-free versions well after launching of the DRM technology, many of which dropped the protection months after being cracked. I mean, you know, if it's really this benign force that's not a force for evil, if it's not this, if this thing that's not so bad, why would publishers drop it from their titles completely of their own volition after that initial sales period has happened? If it's not that bad, why not keep it in perpetuity? Huin wouldn't go into details on the magic of Denuvo's anti-tamper technology, beyond confirming that obfuscation is involved in ensuring that reverse engineering is not possible. So they hide bits of code. Okay. You could just talk like a human, Steve. That's fine. That said, Huin added that the company is constantly advancing the technology, and when we see people coming close or being successful at some things, we continue to raise the bar. And while crackers have proven persistent and inventive in untangling Denuvo's various obfuscation methods over the years, Huin said he feels that the company is a step or two ahead of the piracy community these days. Quote, it's fair to say as well that we don't wait for a successful cheat or hack to start inventing the next time. We have a large amount of customers. Many of the AAA publishers are our customers, and there are a lot of games released every year, so we have to be constantly evolving so we can help everyone. You mean help the publishers. Waiting for a problem is usually not the best way of looking at things from a security perspective. I agree. That is a factually correct thing to say. And then they talk about anti-cheat software, which I'm not talking about today. Huin says that Denuvo will be, quote, leaning more and more towards things like detecting and preventing cheating going forward, a pivot he hopes will help the company's abysmal reputation amongst gamers. When it comes to anti-cheat technologies, it's really a lot more for the players because you're there to make sure it's a fair and fun environment. Again, Steve really doesn't know what he's talking about here. I know a lot of people that curse anti-cheat software, because guess what? You lose all of that goodwill the second it hits someone with a false positive. He just doesn't know what he's talking about. And there's 195 comments on this. Jesus. Yeah, that's the thing on gaming press, is the second that you mention Denuvo, the gamers come out. Like, they're never getting over this bad reputation. When we already have ample independent third-party evidence that anti-piracy tech does, in fact, very much impact performance, virtually every title. Yeah. Yeah, this is what I'm saying. We investigated ourselves and found that our anti-piracy software doesn't hurt performance. In fact, the more instances of Denuvo that are active, the better your computer runs. Whoa. Yeah, right? How nice of them to shove all critics in the pirate and cracking bucket. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, this has been a very biased interview. Shame on you, Kyle. I see you there. So yeah, it's absolute horseshit. They're saying that they want independent analysis, but they're going to be the ones releasing the data. Denuvo, if you actually want people to believe you, release protected and non-copy protected versions of every game that comes with Denuvo. Every single one. Otherwise, what you're saying means nothing. Means nothing. Means you're tainting the data set, and I'm not going to believe a fucking word you say, and neither should anyone else of half a brain. Of course, like you said before, he's going to be releasing this to trusted news platforms which will not report on this objectively. So, thankfully, gamers hate the gaming press, so I think this will have a limited effect on actual public opinion. But I'm wondering if maybe this is a measure at Erdato, perhaps to placate shareholders if they saw that the public perception of their company has tanked in recent years. I could just imagine a boardroom full of like stuffy old white people. They're like, why do people hate our company now? And then they found out it's after they bought this one piece of technology, right? But anyway, what do you think? Do you think that maybe the focus here on performance is a deliberate obfuscation tactic from Erdato to take away from the quote-unquote philosophical arguments against DRM, which are still incredibly anti-consumer in my opinion? Or do you think that I'm looking into this way too hard? Please let me know below. Drop a like on the video if you haven't already. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. And I will see you on the next one.